And welcome to another edition of Between the Posts. Oh, it's finals time all around the league. Tommy Javor here, joined by the great man. They call him the Cowboy, Tony Neill.
Oh, Tommy, fantastic introduction, mate. And, well, what a week in football.
It's exciting, of course. They all align now. Div 1 have caught up. They've played round 18. Div 2 to 6 have had their first week of finals. And your Div 7, they're deep in the finals. So I just want to ask you a question without notice. Adelaide Footy League, how good has it been this year?
Oh, Tommy, just absolutely sensational. I'll tell you, the main thing is the viewers out there are getting fantastic football every week. You know, we watch other games of football, let's say, but you find yourself flicking over through the week. You might do some research, whatever it is, and it's absolutely sensational. Great standard.
Yep. And I had the pleasure of returning to commentary yesterday at Webb Oval, working with a great young man named Lockie Gould, Glenunga, and paying him in a great game. I'm going to tell you a very brief story, and this is a true story. I was at home watching the Australian Football League, and I turned it off and put our game on because it was that good. The smacking of the flesh, you got Rowan on camera. It was a really good game, and I'm really, really pleased and proud of what we're putting out there for those that love the Adelaide Footy League.
Fantastic, Tommy, and lots of fantastic feedback as well. So we really appreciate it. We're getting better and better at it as a team, as a production team. But as we said, it's for the viewers. And I will tell you this, and I know I waffle a bit sometimes about this in the intro.
No.
But people watch it worldwide. There's a lot of old scholars and past players and so on that are worldwide, can watch it at any time. And then Australia-wide, and then within the state. I had some parents talk to me yesterday about some living in the country and being on the header and being able to watch their son playing football. So it's fantastic.
Yep. My sister in Colorado watches. So the other thing is, mate, last week we debuted the reserves report and C-grade synopsis. Over 20,000 views. Absolutely amazing. We talk about bringing communities together through football.
You're on a winner.
And hopefully we will get together in the year and discuss how that looks in 2025. But thank you for endorsing that, and I think you've watched it. It was great for those reservists and C-graders out there.
Fantastic. It's community football, Tommy, at any level.
That's right. Every stakeholder matters. Mate, of course, you're in today for our Division 7 finals focus. Just take us through what that means.
Well, we're going to have a look at the ladder overview, so where the teams finished at the end of the year, what our predictions were, where they finished at the end of the home and away. That's the first thing. The results of 2 weeks of finals already. So that has been sensational. A couple of things going on there, the machinations of the finals. Who are the key players? So we look at the best players and the goal scorers from every club, and there's a couple of anomalies in there of players that perhaps have been performing and then may have been held in the finals. So things happen there. This week's games. Oh, I'll tell you what, Tommy, it's building now. It is the, preliminary final week in Division 7. And, of course, the grand final tip. There's 3 teams. Who will it be? We've got to have a look at that, and we've got to discuss why these teams are out, or particularly my tip, I guess, as a Division 7 specialist, but our tips and some comments in and around what we've seen throughout the season.
Of course, we're focusing on Div 7 this week, along with our Div 1, but the finals focus for all divisions can be found on the Adelaide Footy League website, so we're looking forward to bringing that to you. Of course, we've got all our great usual segments on this week's edition of Between the Posts. It's the Division 1 report, the Division 1 women's report. The Division 1 season is done. Congratulations to the Payneham North Union Falcons. Watch out for what Beck's got to say about that. Our Farmers Leap Coach of the, not week, but year update will be upon us. What else we got, mate?
Well, our Division 7 finals focus, as I discussed a moment ago, all the goals and the marks. I'll tell you what, how good's that going? I watch that every week, and I'll probably watch it 3 or 4 times, and I go, gee, that's outstanding. One of the particular grabs or the goals that are kicked, it is outstanding viewing. So
I'm never sure if we're allowed to vote, so I don't vote, but
no?
Yeah, there's some good ones on there.
And then, of course, Tommy, I think this has become a bit of a cult following. What caught our eye?
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
Brilliant. All that and much, much more. Stay tuned for more on Between the Posts. Division 1 wrap time. The 2024 season minor round is now in the books. Compelling, fascinating, engaging. Division 1 had it all this year, and a lot of questions have finally been answered. We say goodbye to last year's preliminary finalist, Tea Tree Gully, after going down yesterday. They go back to Division 2. Again, Division 1 Premier just 6 years ago. And we also farewell Brighton after their loss. 5.5 wins, so often that is enough to survive, but it wasn't to be for the Bombers. The new kids on the block. I'm not talking about 1990 sensation boy band, but I'm talking about Payneham and Golden Grove. Not only arrived in Division 1 this year, but they've both made it through to finals and will play each other in what will be a completely captivating elimination final. But speaking of Golden Grove, let's talk about their game yesterday, the Northeastern Derby. I've just got off the phone with Adam Jeffries from the Stream team, and what a game. He called it a Country League Grand Final. 2,000 people's in attendance. He had some other colourful little metaphors that I can't use, but he just said it was electric. A really good game where Golden Grove actually jumped out the blocks early. I better give you the score. Golden Grove 16-10, 106. Tea Tree Gully 9-11, 65. Golden Grove jumped out the blocks with 5 goals, the first 5 goals of the game, and it was probably never coming back there for Tea Tree Gully. The player we're having a look at is number 23, Lewis Johnson. A handy game, 35 touches at 91% and 3 goals. Some of the goal kickers, apart from Johnson with his 3, Slater kicked 3 as well. Really, really good season put together by Mitch Slater there. And 40 plus goals is huge. And for Tea Tree Gully, a massive shout out, and I mean huge, to Brodie Latham. Not just 6 goals of 9, but he was neck and neck with Johnny Boris. They're both sitting on 39 goals, and he has won the Division 1 goal kicking trophy in the team that finished bottom. That is an outstanding effort by any measure. Again, Adam Jeffries couldn't speak highly enough of just the atmosphere, the new grandstand, and how both teams' supporters, some people parking as far as a kilometre away just to get into the ground. It was been a great game. If you get a chance, check out the footage, of course, on Filming Footy or via the Adelaide Footy League website. All right, let's have a look at those Stream Team Awards because there's always plenty of them. The Moseley Voucher Best Team Man went to that man, Mitch Slater. Neo North Mouthguard Player of the Day was Tom Robinson, and you'd be well aware that LJ took home all the other good stuff from Belgravia, New Balance and Dartfish, and of course, Hutchies. Let's also now have a look at the Player of the Year votes. Player of the Year votes do conclude in this round. 1 vote to Mitch Slater with 20 touches at 86%, also 3 goals. Brodie Latham deserves his 2, and LJ best on ground. We do have some Dartfish stats on that, and these make interesting reading, especially for Payneham next week, who come up against Golden Grove. Golden Grove 24 more disposals, but the efficiency, they're 85 to 80, 5% more efficient. 5% might not sound like a lot, but it is. In a game of footy, it translates quite well. Marks 95 to 60, they control the air. Contested marks 20 to 10, double, and again inside 50, 19 to 9. Now that's an impressive stat when you consider Lenny Pascoe didn't play for Golden Grove yesterday, was actually a top-up for Port Magpies. Pittman injured early, had a week, not really a week off, but just played the 1 quarter. Looks like he'll be all right for next week. So they were the stats that mattered. Look, again, to Tea Tree Gully, they've been a great club, but they will go back to Div 2. I think they probably need another midfielder. The rucks and the forwards are all sorted, and maybe a key defender, and I'm sure they'll be back in Division 1 in no time. To Golden Grove, we congratulated them last week, but now they go into a home final. We are there for the Stream Team. I have no doubt there'll be 1,500 people there. I can't wait to see the Kookaburras and all their stars live in action. All right. Our next game was Prince Alfred versus Sacred Heart, and after 3 consecutive losses, Sacred Heart have found their foe. Shizzle, 11-14, 80, PAC, 6-10, 46. The man we are featuring is number 4, Seb Kerish. Probably a very likely contender for Team of the Year. He's been consistent all year, was in Team of the Half year. His body of work's been very, very impressive. It was a 32-point win and a very good 4-quarter effort. No one really tore it apart in front of the sticks. Fox and Wilkins with 2 for the Shockers. No multiple goal scorers for PAC. But there's a nice little highlight. It's, of course, our Jag Meatwork snag of the day, Clayton Simons from the Shockers.
Goes back. Simons, can he pick it up? That's all he needs to do. Gets a kind bounce. Started this half is better than anyone on this field. Simons! There's your kilo of snags for the captain. Jag Meatworks.
As I said, snapped a 3-game losing streak for the Shock boys. They go into finals now with just a touch of momentum and a little bit of belief. PAC, they finished 6th, where Tony, Phil and I sat earlier this year and said they'd finish. So nothing probably out of the blue there. They never really looked like threatening this year. The loss of some absolutely key players. They lost 8 players from last year's grand finals team, and they were just, well, they're near impossible to replace. Lockie Mack, again, was in their best and has been probably their most consistent player of the year. That 32-point win was a really solid performance and leads to the following votes. Clayton Simons, I assume he was on his wing, always very good with one. Ethan Moore, whose brother won a medal at the recent Olympic Games, I'm pretty sure. And Seb Kerish was our best on ground. Well done to Shock. They will host Port District in that first qualifying final this weekend. Speaking of Port District, 11-13-79, St Peter's 7-7-49. Our player in focus, and hasn't the second half of his year just been, well, the real catalyst to Port District turning their form around. Number 23, Louis Sharrod. Goal kickers for Spock, Johnny Reid continued his great year with 3. You'd expect to see him in team of the year. While support, it was Cockatoo Collins and Batty with a brace each. You can't help but be impressed with the way that Port have built their year. There was question marks over them early and why they hadn't performed, but their last 6 weeks, they've shown they are going to be there when the whips are cracking come that last Saturday in September. Spock's, they finished 8th with 6 wins. Again, we said it throughout the year regularly that a team sitting 10th haven't been that consistent and they deserve not to be relegated this year. Beating Glenunga last week was actually the key. So well done to Spock. Again, I think they'll continue to improve next year and probably can go a little bit further in Division 1. They were actually 2 points up at three-quarter time in this one, so even in this game where they've gone down by 5 goals, they always have a crack. Best for the Spockers was, of course, Allen and Higgins. Looking at the best players, and I can't help but just focus a little bit here on what was named by Josh Ramsey of Port District. The top 5 for the club were Louis Sharrod, the Gaffer, Haynes, Gray and Lysette. If those 5 catch fire in the finals, I'm not sure any team could stop them. Maybe Glenunga, very dangerous. You throw in a Kenny Carpenter, you throw in a Cockatoo Collins, you got Batty up forward. It's a pretty strong lineup, and they look like they're reaching form at the right time. On to our votes though. Betty Belpero from Spock got the 1, Joey Haynes with 2, continues his tremendous season, and Louis Sharrod with 3. Our next game again was a straight out battle for relegation. It was Broadies and Brighton and it was at Broadview Oval. Broadies 15-15, 105, Brighton 10-9, 69. That win keeps Broadies up and they actually snuck into 7th position, which I predicted, and Brighton go back to Division 2. It was an interesting little side note on this one in the sense that both coaches have resigned and will go into a new challenge next year. So both teams looking for new coaches. Of course, Broadies will be in Div 1, Brighton in Div 2. The player we've been looking at is number 32, Chol An Yang, the big ruckman for Broadies. He was absolutely crucial, probably the catalyst to them getting on top. His combination with Jesse White was very, very hard to stop and where the Tigers took control. Major goal kickers, well, it was actually Carl Mulhurran who kicked 4 for the Tigers, whilst Rivers kicked 3. Johnny Boris kicked 2 and took his tally to 41 to be runner-up in the goal-kicking trophy. Final notes, 5.5 wins. Could it get you out of the relegation zone? Maybe some years. It didn't this year. Again, that draw, will be ruining that Brighton because without that draw, if they hang on in that game, they avoid relegation. But it wasn't to be. I'm sure they'll be very strong in Division 2 with such a strong junior program as well. They'll have plenty of players coming through for their new coach. Votes, they all go to Broadies. 1 vote to Ethan Smith, 2 votes to Cam Mulhurran, and 3 votes to Chol and Yang. And just a quick shout out to the Brighton best players. Well done to Ty Murphy, another good year, that sweeper down back, and Tim Dixon had a good one. Our last game of the round was at Webb Oval. I actually had the pleasure of returning to commentary duties yesterday with Rowett on camera and Lockie Gould, my co-commentator. It was a beauty. Scoreline might not read it, but it was. Glenunga 16-11, 107, PNU 9-5, 59. The chief destroyer in front of goals was Kristancic with 4 for Payneham, whilst the most pleasing thing for Glenunga was they had 11 different goal scorers. Everyone chimed in. I think Davis and Prosser both finished with 3 and all the others had singles. The player we're going to have a look at is number 28, Geordie West. I look at Geordie West, I met Geordie West, had a chat with him and watched him closely. He gets in there, he's too strong in the contest, he's actually got a great first step, he manages to dance out, he had about 8 clearances, and he was probably the difference and might be the difference between Glenunga being runners-up and winning the premiership. His game was simply outstanding. The reason why I enjoyed the game so much is Payneham took it right up to Glenunga in the first half. It was actually only 4 points the difference on the stroke of half-time, but an Abe Davis goal after that half-time siren took it out to a 10-point lead. And then Glenunga did what Glenunga do. They flick that switch, and if you watch the footage, between the 7-minute mark and 11-minute mark of the third quarter, they kicked 3 goals. Now, that wasn't 3 goals in 4 minutes. In real time, it's probably about 3 goals in 1:50 when you think about the ball going back to the centre and the lay stoppages. They just went bang, 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 and from that point, we likened it to the mouse that bats around the ball. They had enough, they grabbed the ball and they ran with it and they couldn't be stopped, leading to a 48-point win. For PNU, Dobson was very good down back. I loved the game with young Jacob Freddie Campbell. I think she thought he was probably just about best on ground in the second quarter. And Matty Nunn had 35 again, but didn't probably damage Glenunga with his possessions. Looking at the best players now, and interesting, Abe Davis may well get the 3 votes on Division 1 medal night, but didn't poll. Told him that after the game. Wasn't real pleased with me, but tough titty, said the kitty. Abe had 30 and 3 and didn't get a vote. But 1 vote, Zach Smith. He held Harry Viney to, I think, 2 touches for the day and had about 15 himself. He was the best defender on the ground. 2 votes to the tip rat Schwartz. He was unbelievable. Kicked a goal, won himself about 4 free kicks, had over 30 touches and played 4 consistent quarters. And best on ground was that man, big Geordie West. Glenunga now take the week off. They'll be out watching their reserves play at Golden Grove in the Div 2 qualifying final. So we are at the end of the season and it is time to take a final look at things. Firstly, the goal kicking. We're going to look at the top 6. Again, I mentioned Mitch Slater from Golden Grove, 34 goals, an outstanding effort. Obviously, he's been joined by Pascoe in the latter part of the year, but they're making a dynamic duo. Will Rivers, Brighton, 34 goals also. A great effort for a team that was relegated. James Batty from Port District, 35 goals. That man from Glenunga, Abe Davis, with 40 goals. The Bozzer, Johnny Boris, with 41. And Brody Latham, congratulations, our winner, on 45 goals. Interesting to note, the top 6 goal kickers all coming from 6 different clubs, and a couple of those coming from the bottom, or 3 of those coming from the bottom half of the ladder. Looking at the ladder, the top, as we've known for a long time, GFC, Glenunga finished 17-1. Shocker get the home final against Port and Golden Grove, a game clear of PNU there. In 6, it's PAC, 7th Broadies, 8th Spock, they avoid relegation. Brighton and Tea Tree Gully go down. But that brings us to the big round of games this week. They are going to be huge. The first week of finals, Div 1 finals, the day before spring starts. You'll be able to smell it in the air. And we'll start with Glenunga having the week off. We wish them all the best. And as I've mentioned, they'll be down at Golden Grove watching the elimination. But the Division 1 reserves game is Broadies and Port, which will be at Sacred Heart Senior School before Sacred Heart take on Port Districts. Now, this will, of course, be streamed live. Port District have won both games this year against Sacred Heart, and I think they're in much better form going into the game. I expect them to win the third and have first crack at Glenunga at Webb Oval as Glenunga go for 21 wins at home in a row. Our game of the round stream team game is going to be the elimination final. The pre-game will be Glenunga and Golden Grove, so Golden Grove got a double header. It is Golden Grove taking on PNU at Harpers Field. Golden Grove smashed Payneham in last year's Div 2 Grand Final, but Payneham have certainly had a measure of revenge, beating them both times, including, obviously, at Harpers Field. There'll be some ins for Golden Grove. The ins will include Pascoe. Pittman hopefully will play his 4 quarters, but the big one for PNU, the big in, is Brad McKenzie, who didn't play yesterday. PNU will go into this with some real confidence, but I think Golden Grove, their last sort of 8 weeks has been really solid top-end Division 1 football. They've probably at home got too many weapons to stop. PNU won't like me saying it, but I'm taking Golden Grove to get the chocolates and move on to the second weeks of finals. Next week, I'll be back with the Division 1 finals report. Thanks for joining me all year. It's been a wonderful season, and congratulations to all teams on their efforts.
Get a quick and easy low-rate car loan from Police Credit Union today.
Well, can you believe this is the final women's wrap for season 2024? Where has the season gone? Well, on the weekend, our final lot of premiers were crowned. I'm Bec Northcott. Let's find out what happened on our final weekend of grand finals. And it was another awesome day at St Mary's Park. I must say thanks to Kenilworth Footy Club for hosting the final series. They put on a great show down there. And we saw two amazing high quality women's finals. And I am still recovering from the stress, let me tell you. Now, we started off our day with the Division 2 Grand Final. Earlier that morning, Hectorville took out the Division 2 Reserves Grand Final by 14 points against Tea Tree Gully. But in the Division 2 League Final, well, it was Hectorville versus Happy Valley. And what a game this was. The first half, well, it was an absolute shootout. 11 goals between the teams, lead changes galore, and at halftime, only 2 points separated the teams with Happy Valley in the lead. The second half, well, it turned into a real arm wrestle, a physical match. Hectorville, well, they managed to burst away in the third quarter. They used their speed out of the middle, out of stoppage. They were just moving at epic speeds. They held Happy Valley to 1 point and got themselves out to an 11-point lead at three-quarter time. But we knew that Happy Valley probably weren't done yet. I mean, this was a game full of lead changes, very stressful, twists and turns, so many stories to come out of it. And in the last quarter, well, Happy Valley fought back. They kicked 2 goals 3 to take out the grand final by 3 points. Kennedy just launches it. You'll never guess who's out the back. It's Hope Taylor. Can she get a boot to it? She's got time. She's been dragged over the line. And she's got the goal. But my goodness, what a match this was. It could have gone either way at any time during this game. Myself and Dinez, we could not call it at all. It was just too close. And as I said, the first half was just goal for goal. And neither team wanted to back down. It was truly a grand final quality battle. Now, Happy Valley, they were led by a massive performance up forward by Georgia Hooper. She kicked 5 goals. She was on fire. She really lifted the team. She took some awesome marks, and when she was getting the ball down there, she looked unstoppable. And for a while, she was actually Happy Valley's only goal kicker until Hope Taylor popped up and joined the party, ending up with 3 goals herself. And the real combination of strength from Georgia Hooper and Taylor's speed, well, it was absolutely lethal up forward. So no surprises, Georgia Hooper, she got the best on ground for the grand final. We, of course, presented her with a pair of Archies and got to have a chat to her after the game about her 5-goal performance. Also for Happy Valley, Jacinda Shunsala, well, she spent some time in the ruck and she played an awesome game as well, so she was up there in the best as well. And also was Elizabeth Johnson, but there was plenty of contributors for Happy Valley all over the field. Now, moving on to Hectorville, well, they played an awesome game and they really took it up to Hectorville. They had plenty of goal scorers in Grace Mulvihill with 2, Jasmine Egan, Tess McCormack, Taylor Roberts, Grace Whitaker and Katie Whitaker. Now, their best on was Tess McCormack, also well supported by Taylor Roberts and Jasmine Egan. Now, Hectorville, they're a really young side and they've got some awesome juniors pushing through who are playing in that side in the grand final as well. Now, their story, of course, they came up from Division 4 last year, so straight from Division 4 to Division 2. So, they've had an incredible season. I think they should be really proud with how they did and, just falling short a little bit there, but they did so well during the season. But it was a fantastic final, as I said, really enjoyable and just some awesome footy to watch. And we will say congratulations again to Happy Valley, our Division 2 premiers. Now, over to Division 1 and this big clash between Payneham and Broadview. Now, before this game, there was also the 1 reserves clash between the same teams and Broadview took that one out. So you could really feel the energy for Broadview when their A grade ran out onto the field. It was really exciting. Yeah, there was so much celebrating going on. It was all happening. Payneham, they had to find their own energy when they ran onto the field, but they had plenty of crowd support. And I had been looking forward to getting to this game all week and, of course, being on the commentary team for it as well. I was so excited and it really just lived up to the hype. Now, I've talked about this previously, but there was really two different stories going on here. Payneham looking for that redemption. I've talked about it many times, but 1 point last year lost in the grand final. They really just had something to prove. And while Broadview, they had a bit of a slower start to the season and just really pushed themselves to get into the grand final. Speaking to both the coaches before the game, Paynham's coach Macca, he said, well, we've forgotten about last year. We're not talking about that, and we're just going to enjoy today, go out there and get it done. Phil Summers for Broadview, their coach, he said, well, they've basically been playing for their life every week, playing elimination finals. It's time to go for one more. Well, over to the game, and Payneham, well, they were absolutely ready to go. They kicked the first 3 goals of the game. Chelsea Packer, she was on fire in front of goal, and Georgia Avery in the ruck, she was getting some real advantage. The Broadview defence, well, they were under the pump, but they worked so hard, and I think did well to only restrict Payneham to 3 goals. And they probably struggled to get it inside their forward 50 in that first quarter of the game. So at the end of the first quarter, it was 1 point to Broadview, 3 goals, 1 to Payneham. But we knew that the response would come, and after a quarter time rev up, Broadview, they started to get going. The work of Amy Jones in the middle and their captain Hannah DeVito just really lifted the team. They put on 3 goals to only be a point behind at halftime. Abby Player was starting to look dangerous up forward for Broadview, and we knew there was a game on our hands. After an extended halftime break due to injury, we sort of wondered how both teams would come out after that break. Well, Broadview, they came out firing. They got repeat entry after repeat entry. They locked it in their forward half, and they were all over Payneham. There was spoils, there was smothers, there was 1%ers everywhere, and for the first time for the day, Payneham looked under pressure. And with all that pressure and repeat entries, their forwards started to find the goals in Antonelli and Grant. So some of their key forwards started to get involved on the scoreboard. They kicked 3 goals to hold Payneham to 1 goal 1, hit the lead by 12 points at 3/4 time. Now, over to the last quarter. Well, that Broadview pressure, it continued over. The Payneham defence, they really stepped up, led by their captain Jess Meachin and also Joe Darby just putting up a really strong performance back there. Now, they've had some repeat entries in there, but they managed to stop Broadview from scoring. So Payneham, all the work was up for them to do. Now Payneham, well, they started to get some goals on the board, and it all just started to get some momentum. Though at one point in the game, Payneham were behind by 1 point, and I started to think maybe this is a bit of deja vu from last year. But enter Chelsea Packer. She took an amazing mark, kick from Abby Claby. She kicked true from the pocket. They held on for the last 2 minutes, and it was all over. And it was just absolute scenes for Payneham. Players everywhere on the field, they got up by 5 points. And, it was those players that we've talked about all season that really stepped up when Payneham needed it. Abby Claby, she'd probably been held quite well. She'd been pretty quiet by her standards. Still an awesome game. But she kicked that final kick to Packer, who finished off with the goal to set up the win. So I've talked about Chelsea Packer. Well, she finished the day with 4 goals, with also goals to Ackland, Gibson and Jeffries. Micaiah Bryant, she was the best on. She, of course, got the Archies, and she was well supported by Chloe Samuel and Kristen Gadecki. For Broadview, their goal scorers, Abby Player, she kicked 3, Liana Antonelli, Tamika Cox and Remy Grant. Their best player was named as Amy Jones, and I think she was incredible through the middle, as well as Hannah DeVito and Alana Doling. Now, this was just a classic Division 1 grand final. I think it will go down as one of the best we've seen in the Adelaide Footy League Women's Division 1 competition. Payneham, well, they got the one that they missed last year. They finally finished their redemption era. Broadview, they turned around this season that did not look good at the start of the year and just absolutely came home strong, took it home to Payneham. I think they're building something really great there at Broadview, and they should be really proud of how they did this season. But of course, congratulations to Payneham, our Division 1 Women's Premiers. They definitely were the best team all year and were this time able to prove it on the day. So well done to Macca and all the girls at Payneham. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who watched the women's wrap over the season. I met some people at the grand final who said they enjoy watching the segment every week. So that was very exciting and very nice to hear. And thanks to everyone at Broadview and Payneham yesterday who were really cooperative and were happy to chat with us all day. Well, can you believe it? That's it for the women's season 2024. Thanks to our awesome producer Hugo for always making me look good and doing all the hard work behind the scenes. And congratulations again to all of our Women's League premiers for season 2024. And you know what? Every single women's team that took the field this season. I will see you all again soon, I'm sure.
Tommy Javor here with an update for Between the Post and the Adelaide Footy League on one of our great awards. It is, of course, Coach of the Year. So all our round nominations are in the books. What will happen is here we'll see how those finals play out for those respective coaches. The panel will then come together. And thanks to our wonderful friends at Farmers Leap, the panel will select the Farmers Leap Adelaide Footy League Coach of the Year. It's time for the Division 7 Finals Report. I'm joined by our Division 7 expert, Tony Neill. Welcome, Tony.
Oh, thank you very much, Tommy, and exciting times, isn't it? We're 2 weeks into the finals now with Division 7.
Yeah, it's slightly unique. It's a bit different to one and the other divisions. But, Tony, what we're going to do, got a bit of a set of questions. Can you start, please, with the seasons in the books? Quick ladder overview.
Well, I'm just going to wind it right back, folks, to pre-season. And what were the predictions? Who can we expect in the top 5? And I had Para Hills, OSB Lonsdale, Flinders Uni, Brahma Lodge and Hackham. And Hackham with the unknown quantity with two wins and 15 losses last year. New coach at Flinders Uni and so on. So Brahma Lodge, Lazarus, can they lift again, etc.
Done well. Of course, we did a pre-season show where I just did the top 3. I had Para Hills, Brahma Lodge and OSB Lonsdale. So we're both, I don't know if we call ourselves experts, but around the mark. Pretty good stuff.
Well, our top 3 ended up with being Para Hills, O'Sullivan's Beach, Lonsdale and Hackham now. Yep. And, of course, Flinders Uni and Brahma Lodge. So I had the 5. They were in different order. I will say this, the caveat, though, there is only 8 teams. So you know, you've got to be close. What I will say, the end of the season ladder is what we've got to look at. Para Hills, they've had 2 more wins than last year. O'Sullivan's Beach, Lonsdale, they're improvers. They had 6 more wins. And as I said, this year, is this the year continuous improvement? So 6 extra wins. But the other surprising one was Hackham. So they've had 8 more wins. So they're the most improved team in Division 7. Flinders Uni were the same, and Brahma Lodge, well, they came down from Division 6. They didn't have any wins, so they've had a pretty good year.
Can't help but be impressed with young Blake Dara, the coach at Hackham. Has done great things, mate. And speaking of some of the good things he's done, let's have a look at the results of finals this week, please.
So I'll actually go back a week because we're in 2 weeks of finals. So OSB Lonsdale got over the top of Hackham. It was a reverse of the week prior. OSB Lonsdale, they win by 64 points and they faced Para Hills. They had, now, stay with me on this line, they had 6 different goal scorers. Flinders Uni and Brahma Lodge played off. Brahma Lodge had an 8-point win. They faced Hackham. Brahma Lodge there had 8 goal scorers, so stretch it out. So yesterday, week 2, Hackham play Brahma Lodge and Hackham win by 15 points. Now, the irony is, the week prior when Brahma Lodge won, they kicked 12 goals, 11. They then come into this game. Guess what Hackham kick against them?
I'm going to go with 12 goals, 11.
Very good, Tommy, working with me. So interesting, 23 scoring shots. But Hackham, yesterday, out of their 12 goals, only 4 goal scorers.
Wow, not many at all.
So then we go to Para Hills. Of course, they comprehensively defeat O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale. 58 points. They proceed to the grand final and also to Division 6. Para Hills, 10 goal scorers yesterday.
Fantastic. I did notice that. Might have even caught my eye. Not relying on Weecher, but we make a very special mention of it now. Congratulations, Para Hills. You are our first promoted team in the Adelaide Footy League. An outstanding effort. And I'm not going to talk about the on-field players. I want to talk about Michael Cummins, Simon Branley, Brian DeCellis, the guys off the field who sat down 2 years ago and said, we are going to get this team out of Div 7. Well done for the work you've done behind the scenes.
Fantastic, Tommy, and that's fantastic intel. So who are the key players?
Yes, that's the next question I was meant to ask you. Tell me who are the key players, mate. There's some good ones there. I hope you mentioned Alan from Hackham because he likes it when I do that.
All right. Okay. Working on your own a bit there, Tommy. No, Luke Allen, Hackham played 19 games. He's been in the best 14 times. So, sensation. He's got to be up there in the medal count as well, for sure. Jacob Doherty from Hackham. So, they're sharing this. 19 games, 12 times in the best players as well. We go to Harrison Kaysler, O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale. 15 games, 11 times in the best. So, it's an interesting question, Tommy, and I often ask the coaches, how much time do you put into just focusing on your own team's strengths, and then do you have a look at this and go, well, hang on, we need to have a little bit of a look at where this guy gets the ball, what does he do with it? Do you put time and effort into researching the opposition as well? So, players like this going into the finals, and then you get to Para Hills, and this is what I like, is the spread here.
Yep.
The next three. So they share the load. Brandon James, 17 games, 9 times in the best. Aaron Asfaha, 18 games, 8 times in the best.
Can I just jump in on Aaron Asfaha? He was a Glenunga Premiership player. He spent time as a top-up in the sample. He super talented, lightning quick, used to play wing, and he'll be very dangerous in Div 7 finals.
And the last one there at Para Hills, Matthew Travis, 14 games for 8 times in the best. So you come down a little bit, but 3 players there at Para Hills, 2 at Hackham, certainly the ones to watch.
Yes.
So let's look at our goal scorers now, because these are the players to watch as well, Tommy. We know Daniel Wheatra, 131. 31 goals is a good season. 131 if you don't mind.
In a short season too, yeah.
But we look at his game yesterday, 3 goals. So still in around the goal scorers. Trevor Rigney, so a huge shout out to Trevor. 400 games to Trevor Rigney yesterday. We know he's kicked his 102 goals for the season as well. But was well held yesterday. No goals from Trevor Rigney. So we'll wait and see, watch this space over the next week or so. Glenn Draper at Hackham, fantastic player, and he has kicked 60 goals for the season, but he kicked 5 yesterday. So a really good bag there in finals. You get remembered for playing good finals games.
And was named their best yesterday. So.
And the other one is Dan Loveridge from O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale. So he's kicked 40 and he kicked 2 yesterday. So between Rigney and Loveridge, there's 142 goals. So there's that sharing that load.
Yes, beautifully done, Tony. Of course, this week's games, well, it's this week's game. It is a preliminary final. Again, plenty on the line here. The winner will be our second promoted team and we'll head to Division 6 next year. Who are our candidates?
So from our wins earlier there, O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale. So they're coming off a loss now. They need a win, and Hackham winning form is good form. And that game is at St Mary's Park. So a neutral ground and a big neutral ground.
Biggest ground in Amateur Footy League, and I think that actually favours Hackham a little bit. So I'm very interested to hear your tip in that one, moving into what our grand final tips will be.
Well, I'll move into our grand final tips because that will probably cover it. I will put the caveat in, I don't enjoy tipping against team versus team because any one of these 3 teams can get up, but I've got some thoughts on it. The first one is it Para Hill's turn, or will OSB Lonsdale, after the season they have had, get back up and get that winning form, get themselves into a grand final first of all. So you got to look at Hackham had to win 3 games. Well, they've won 1, they've got 2 more to win. Now O'Sullivan's Beach Lonsdale have to win 2 games, and Para Hills have had to win 2, they've won 1, so they've got 1 to go. So Para Hills, they're 2 games better in their win-loss for Coach Craig Forby this season. Can they atone for last season because they went out in straight sets? And I asked the question, what's changed for Para Hills? So 2 games better. For them, it will be the mental game, not the physical game when they get to that grand final. For OSB Lonsdale, 6 games better in their win-loss. Their coach, Michael Dean, great year. Things have changed. So there's the difference, and it's for the better. They've got a great support and culture led by Anthony Bernhardt and the committee over the last few years, so huge congratulations there. For them, it's about hunger. They're well coached. They know how to win after this season. They've had a trajectory this season, and they've got a balance of experience and youth. So for mine, the tip, OSB Lonsdale.
Well, I'm going to agree to disagree with you on that one. I've got Para Hills as the premiers for mine, but that's why we have these discussions. It's exciting. It certainly could go either way. Thanks for your great insight and research, Tony. Good luck to all teams that remain. Of course, Para Hills, OSB and Hackham. May the best team win. We're back with more after this commercial break. Welcome back to Between the Posts. It is finals in Division 2 to 7, and of course we're about to embark on our Div 1 finals. So let's have a look just at some of these great goals and marks of the week.
Back. Simons, can he pick it up? That's all he needs to do. It's a kind bounce. Started the world this half. Is better than anyone on this field. Simons! There's your kilo of snags for the captain. Jag Meatworks.
Haynes just chips it long. Oh, Liam Ferns, that's definitely a contender for the Bianco mark of the day.
And welcome to What Caught Our Eye. It is one of the best segments, I reckon, because we have a look at the 7 divisions and what really stood out for us. Now, you got a theme today, have you, Tony?
I have, a little bit later on with some of the finals, but we're starting at Division 1, I believe.
We are. You can go first.
Well, probably stole your thunder here. Broadview, they hang on, and they stay in Division 1. So congratulations to Broadview, who of course will have a new coach next year.
Of course, it would be remiss of me not to say that's the only team in Division 1 that we tipped to make finals that didn't make it. So well done for staying up.
Correct.
But I think they've underachieved, certainly, I guess, based on our predictions. I didn't have that one, mate. I was at Glenunga, so it was hard not to talk about them. They won by 8 goals. They are the complete team. I've not seen a team. Well, they remind me of PAC last year. The Paynham team of 2019, I think they're the complete team. Only Port, if they have a blind eye on grand final day, will be able to stop them. It's a big call, but yeah, they are that good. I'll go first in Division 2, mate, where it was Flinders Park causing the upset, 14-10-94, Modbury 10-7-67. What's interesting about this one is that's the 4th straight loss for Modbury to Flinders Park, including last year's 2023 grand final. I thought in Div 3, I thought they'd arrest the slide, but it was 6 goals to 1 at quarter time, 10 goals to 2 at half time, and it was all over. Walter Wilson was their best, and that man, Max Teague, he's big, he's strong, he's like King Kong, and he kicked 4.
Yeah, exactly the same, Tommy. I've got a bit of a theme on giant killers over the finals, so stay with us with that one. Flinders Park defeat Modbury 5th versus 4th, but it was that 10-goal first half that set them up, so very well done to Flinders Park.
Yeah, we could have some double-ups here, so you go first in Div 3 then, mate.
So only Mercedes Jets, they kicked 7 goals to 3 in the second half to defeat Lockleys by 18 points. 3rd defeats 2nd, so another one of the giant killers. And 5th defeats 4th. Pembroke get up by 19 points, so both the lower teams win.
Yeah, great result. I had the same. I predicted Lockleys to play Henley in the GF, especially based on them getting over them a few weeks ago. But the stars for Unley Mercedes, well done to Duval, and Star was the star. Number Division 4, it was the Chicks defeating Westminster in extra time, no less, by 5 points, and they were 18 points down at three-quarter time. A huge win there for the Chicks.
Well, it was Westminster's, it's the same thing. Westminster had a 6-goal third quarter to lead by 18 points, and you think, well, we're going to come home strong here. We're going to have a great second half. Kilburn stormed home. They actually kicked 7 goals to 3 to win that game by 5 points. So another, what do you say, giant killer there, 3rd beat 2nd.
Yeah, and of course, in our Div 4 finals feature, the great man Callum Knox has got some insight on that game.
Beautiful.
Yeah, looking forward to that. You go first in 5, mate.
Well, Green Acres, 1 point win over Pulteney, so they win by a point. And Colonelite Gardens, 3 points. They had a 6-goal last quarter to defeat Marion. So really 4 points across 2 games decide it. Marion kicked 5 goals to 3 in the second quarter. Colonelite Gardens kicked 5 goals to 3 in the third quarter. 2 quarters win the game. 5 goals to 6, 5 goals plus 6 goals in the third and fourth quarters by Colonelite Gardens.
Yeah, much of the same for me. Green Acres are striving for that three-peat, and they will this week face Marion, who they beat in last year's grand final to continue their surge. How far they go, I'm not too sure, but good luck to the Dragons. Div 6, I'll lead off, mate, and this is I see this as the upset of the Adelaide Footy League on the weekend. Coming off a 91-point loss 2 weeks ago, St Paul's have turned it around at Ingle Farm. St Paul's 16-13-103, Ingle Farm 12-10-82. I did not see that coming. Aliciani with 4 and Riley Hendricks in the best players every game this year pretty much. He is a superstar. He led my old school to victory, 6 goals to 2 in the final quarter. Got the job done.
Well, exactly right, Tommy, and not much to say there. St Paul's from 5th, so it's another giant killer. They stay alive. This is what finals does to you, and you spoke about the Adelaide Footy League, earlier on in our show, and this is what the Adelaide Footy League is about. It's not lay down misère. You can't pick teams. They defeat Ingle Farm, and as you alluded to, 6-goal last quarter to win by 21 points, and belief now, self-belief, Tommy, can go a long way.
Yes, a great man once said, the only thing that's certain is nothing is certain in the Adelaide Footy League. And Div 7, obviously this is your area of expertise, so I'll just be brief. Para Hill's got the chocolates. They're off to Division 6, that's huge, but the 10 goal kickers is what impressed me, showed there's more than one trick than the Weetra bow.
Well, I go a little bit kooky with the numbers, as you know. I love analysing
Not just the numbers, Tony.
and so on. But I've looked at the first and second half goals because this is what I did all year through the division when I was doing the specialist. So Para Hills yesterday, 6 goal first half, 7 goals second half. OSB Lonsdale, 2 goal first half, 3 goals second half. Brahma Lodge, 5 and 5. Hackham, 6 and 6. So talk about consistency across all 4 teams, and there it is there, your first half and your second half goals. So you don't just drop away and burn out, or you don't accelerate. It's just stayed where it was. So that consistency.
Yes. Of course, we're back next week with what caught our eye once again, and with all these exciting finals happen, there's plenty to catch the eye in the Adelaide Footy League. And welcome back to Between the Posts. It is time for the farewell, brought to us by our good friends at SAPOL. Make sure you check out, always looking for new recruits. Now, Tony, the first question I ask everyone is, have you had some fun today?
Oh, Tommy, just sensational, mate. Absolutely sensational, and what an exciting time of the year. The whole year's great, but it's finals time, mate.
Of course, I want to just make mention of our great sponsors. They do a wonderful job. They support us in the league and getting these shows out as well, so we wouldn't exist without you. But let me ask you a question, my friend. What is it you're most looking forward to now as we come up into spring?
Tommy, you can see it. You can hear it. You can feel it. It's finals time.
Can you smell it? Can you smell it?
You can smell it. It is finals time.
Smell what the Cowboys cooking?
It's across all divisions this week.
Yep.
Every division has finals. Oh, Tommy, I'll tell you what, does not get any more exciting than this.
Yeah, it's just shaking with excitement there, Tony. I'm not sure where to go from there. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully you get the opportunity to check out on our page as well. We've had all division experts in today for their finals focus, so we hope you enjoyed that. Again, thanks so much last week for supporting our new initiative, the Reserves Report and the C-Grade Synopsis. We'll continue to try to get bigger and better, won't we? We'll be back next week with more Between the Posts.